Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back. Pull up a chair. It's time to get down to the business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black, and I'm here tonight to discuss with you here about something that occurred. If you weren't aware, I was on Twitter, and I saw a post by infamous porn star, whatever you want to call her, Jenna Jameson, and I was listening. I saw what she said, and she's on a tour here, apparently to rehabilitate her image. And so I was reading a tweet where she was saying, as you can see on your screen here, my father had no idea that at 16, my boyfriend, 23, and his father were grooming me to be trafficked into strip clubs. So I saw that. Then she makes the connection between that and saying strip clubs and eventually porn. So I'm sitting here looking at that and I'm saying to myself, well, good job there. Very good job. Good job about rehabilitating that image. And I wasn't even mad at that, to be totally honest. That was the point I was trying to make, was I wasn't upset about it. You can rehab your image. But there's something to be said for the idea that some people have abilities that other people don't have. That's the problem. When some people have abilities others don't have. And so I just wanted to point out that this is a woman who spent literally 30 years in the sex business. 30 years. So when someone spent 30 years of doing something, you don't end up there accidentally. That's not something you do accidentally. I mean, for 30 years, the only thing a lot of us have done for 30 years straight was breathe. But I don't think you end up in a business where people are having sex with you for 30 years by accident. So no, I'm not going for that. Now we're in a situation here where I'm saying, okay, let me go ahead and weigh in on that. So I took to saying, when a Becky gets too old to cash in on her body anymore and wants to get a pass from her past, she can enter Hoe Rehab. Just claim she didn't know what she was doing. And remember, I've warned you all about that for years with Kanye and Kim. When she was talking about, certain stuff she did and, she had been doing drugs and things. I was like, okay, Kanye, you better keep your eyes open for that one. That's going to come back at some point. But they can claim they didn't know what they were doing. Or if they used to date a black man, well, it wasn't me, it was him. I wasn't in it. I was just following his lead. So you have to say something that's going to appease white males. And I'm going to get into that. Because with all this talk of red pill and hypergamy and whatever, we don't talk about the racial aspect of hypergamy anywhere other than here on the business. So for a lot of you who've been misled, led astray because you only had one voice out there talking about these things, let's go ahead and just be very clear. These other folk don't talk about the racial component of it because a lot of them are pining for interracial sex. And I'm not here to go ahead and take you to the woodshed on that. What I am here to say is that when you start allowing that to cloud or change the analysis of these things, that's a problem. So I made this comment here that she can go to Hoe Rehab and just claim she didn't know what she was doing, either because she was young or she was on drugs. She can become a conservative and the society will give her a fresh start as a Karen. And we all understand that that's the pathway they take. Sarah Palin, that was the path she took. If you want to get the stench of that interracial sex you were doing back in college or in your 20s, if you want to change the subject, you got to grovel and go to Hoe Rehab. You have to claim that the interracial sex you were having or the actions you were taking, that was just you out of your mind. That you were just crazy at the time, but you were just out of your mind. And that's the strategy that they use. As they get older, they just claim, well, back then I was young, I was crazy, I was under the nigger spell, whatever the case may be, and I was just out of my mind. And I'm leaving this video up here because I want us to go ahead and talk about the racial aspect of these things, because we don't get to talk about that enough. Now, the other reason why all of this stuck out to me for Jenna Jameson is, you understand that and this is why I was talking about, why I was introducing the fact that we're talking about Beckies and Karens, because black women can't do that. A lot of non-white women can, but this is really something that's really reserved for non-black women in general and white women in specific. That as you get older, you can start playing the conservative card. And then all of a sudden, you go from spending all of your time talking about whatever it was that made you famous. Now you start spending your time talking about social issues. You start spending your time giving veiled racial comments, veiled racial commentary, or direct racial commentary. And this is the red meat, because you see, when you're young and your breasts are sitting up high, or your breast implants are sitting up high, you can give favoritism based on that alone, unless you have the stench of Negrodom on you, in which case now you have offended them. But for white males who are older, they got their pick of the litter. So you're going to have to dig in extra deep to get them to excuse some of what you're doing, because they got options. So you're going to have to dig in extra deep. Now, if you've got some celebrity about you, you're able to leverage that celebrity, and you can leverage it as you get older. But these guys are going to want to see some contrition. They're not going to just take you the way you were. They want to see some contrition. So you're going to have to start catering to the Fox News crowd, because when white men get older, as they get older, they become more conservative. So now you're going to have to start doing little grimy things to send them dog whistles, or to send the message to them that, hey, wink, wink, I'm more right-wing than you are. Now, with a Stacey Dash, Stacey thought that was going to work for her too, but you see, Stacey didn't understand. That's reserved for white women. That's not reserved for you. You don't get that type of pass. You don't get to play that card. This is reserved strictly for white women. You don't get to do that. See, she got old, and Stacey thought that she was going to progress into Karen status. But that wasn't going to happen. You're not going to get your Karen card. You're not going to be able to do that. Just like, what's her name? Trina. The rapper, former rapper Trina in Miami, running around with Trick Daddy. She's trying to become a Karen too. But it's not working for her. It's not working. Now, I'm going to show you all how you can get that stench off of you and how it works there. But now, Jenna retweeted me, and she was basically saying the same thing. She's really trying not to come off as caustic and abrasive as she actually is. So she's trying to be nice about it and say, oh, these people, I don't see why they just don't understand it, whatever. So what she's been doing is retweeting everybody who has had some critique of her statement and pining for sympathy. And quite frankly, there's been a large contingent of it, but all of it from the Donald Trump right-wing constituency. But this is something that Jenna has been setting up for a while. And I want to connect the dots for you here. This is something that she has been setting up for a while and trying to put in place for a while. And it's actually started to work. It's actually started to bear fruit. So if you go and Google about this, you will see this article from the Daily Beast back in 2017. 2017. So this isn't something new. This isn't something recent. This is something she's been setting up for a while, because you see, you gotta start the long tail on that. You gotta start the long tail on that. You can't wait till the last damn minute to sit up here and decide you're going to do something. You've got to be able to set this stuff up quickly. You got to be able to do this quick. Now, for those of you who did not know, Jenna Jameson is 46 years old now. For anyone who was unaware, Jenna is 46 years old. Some of those prime days that she used to have are well in the rearview mirror. Her competition in the world of getting naked and being sexually, provocative, the competition is just too damn steep. It's too damn steep. So she doesn't have the ability to compete with those 20-year-olds or even 30-year-olds anymore. For those, that's why she's all tatted up now. As I've always warned you all, when you see a female who's tatted up like that, that is a clear sign of mental and emotional imbalance. Now, that doesn't mean they're crazy, but it certainly means there's issues going on there. And it would explain why you're doing porn, because you see your body as something that you leverage. Now, you can go look at this article here, and as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and post the link to the article in the chat room here, so you all can take a look at it for yourself. And she doesn't have little tats. I mean, she's got great, big, huge spitting image tats. I mean, it's just really crazy. But this is an article from the Daily Beast, written by Aurora. It says it's by Aurora Snow, and she was a former porn chick as well, who put out a interesting story, whatever you want to call it, where she was talking about why it was that she didn't do interracial dating. I mean, not interracial dating, why she's in the porn business. So this story from the Daily Beast, as you can see, one of the writers on it was Aurora Snow, and she did an article where she was talking about why she didn't do interracial scenes in porn until way later. And she claimed it's because her boyfriends were like, you could do whatever you want to, but if you sleep with a black dude, I'm leaving you. And so that's what happened there. So they're getting this from experts in the subject here. Now, the article says Jenna Jameson is once again the talk of the porn industry. An icon with close to 200 adult films under her belt, Jameson is still idolized by many women getting their start in the biz. But there will never be another Jenna, the former queen of porn. Okay, skipping down through here. Since the start of her conversion, since the start of her conversion to the Jewish faith, a journey she embarked on in order to marry her shady Israeli jeweler / fiance, Lior Bitan, Jameson has adopted a fierce and public anti-Islam stance. Now, by the way, one other thing. Now, she converted to Judaism, right? So that she could marry this rich Israeli guy. You realize she's still not married, right? I just want you to keep this in mind. This story was written back in 2017. Jenna is still not married today. Okay? She did this back when she was, if she's 46 now, 3 years ago, back when she was 43. So she was looking to cash out. When she was 43, she was willing to change religions. An old dude, he did the thing that they do in Judaism. They say, hey, if you switch to our religion, we'll go ahead and wife you up. And the old boy been letting that simmer for 3 damn years, hasn't he? For 3 years. I mean, she's still apparently, supposedly still dating this guy or with him, but she's not married yet. So let's just be understanding that she's not married. She tried to cash out 3 years ago, and she's still waiting for that ship to come in. So if she had any doubts that she was beyond her prime ability to pick and choose and call hands, that's going to be different. No, she's not ethnically Jewish, but she's converting to the religion and figured that'd be enough. And clearly after over 3 years, it ain't enough. So it says, Jameson has adopted a fierce and public anti-Islam stance, ranting against Muslims online and clapping back at those in disagreement. She regularly shares stories and videos about the alleged havoc wreaked by adherents of Islam from dubious far right-wing sites like the pro-Trump agitprop outlet Breitbart and conspiracy theory forum InfoWars, along with bigoted replies from her army of close to 700,000 Twitter followers. Now, the reason why they're taking notice of this is because she wasn't like this. She wasn't talking like this before she started trying to get the attention of this dude. She wanted a retirement plan. So before she was trying to get his attention, she wasn't out in public talking like this. And so folks are like, wow, when did you turn into this alt-right troll like this? She turned into this alt-right troll when it was time to cash out. Because the young boys who pay for her DVDs, That's gone. Those are gone now. Those have expired. That's evaporated. She needs a white man with some deep paper who's going to guarantee her to pay her way for the rest of her life. So she's cashing out while there's still some chips on the table to be able to do that. That's where Jenna is now. That's where she's at now. Just trying to cash out. And she's remember I told you all that women don't have ethnic allegiances like that. Remember I've taught you all that women are not heavy into ethnic allegiance. They follow the lead of individuals who they're trying to get resources from. They're following the lead of those individuals. That's the difference. Guys, I've taught you about that. I've taught you about that. They follow the lead of the man. She is going to begin to mirror him. I've taught to the fellas listening. Women are going to mirror the man that they desire. If she desires him and admires him, she's going to begin to follow his example. She's going to begin to mirror him. Now, I've taught you all this for years, and here it is sitting right here in front of you. Now, they go on in the article to say her XXX industry defenders, who would mostly like to remain nameless, point out that the terror of ISIS hits a bit close to home for Jameson, who is 8 months pregnant with Baton's baby. Now, she was pregnant with his baby, but they still ain't married her. By the way, I have to say, that's a very un-Jewish thing to do, isn't it? Especially for Israelis. That's a very un-Jewish thing to do. She's got a baby with him, but that's a very un-Jewish thing to do, isn't it? I mean, Jewish men usually don't spread around their seeds to a woman that they haven't committed to like that. Okay, well, he was like, damn, I got the broad pregnant, but I'm not going to sit up here and give her legal rights to all my resources. Now, she might have snagged me with the baby, but I'm not giving her the keys to the kingdom. But by the way, that's a very un-Jewish thing to think about, so it kind of calls into question just how devout this guy is. If he demanded that she join the Jewish religion, and yet he's not practicing the Jewish religion, that tells you that he's an ideologue, or he did this for social purposes, and she went along with it because she was like, all right, I can join your religion for social purposes, but we gonna get this baby for legal purposes. You ain't gonna just string me along forever without me having something to tie you down with. So if I can't get a ring, I'll get a pregnancy. Did you catch that? And oh yeah, to do this when she was 42 or 43? So she was willing to have, an advanced age pregnancy. That tells you how committed to this she was. She was willing to do this at 42 or 43. She was like, look here, I got 3 eggs left and I'm using one of them to lock this dude down. Becky turning to Karen. You see, Beckies are not pregnant. Beckies are not pregnant. Beckies are not desperate. Beckies know that they got options. When white girls are from the ages of 18 to 25, she knows she's got options out the ass. She doesn't have to be desperate. So a fella has to earn the right to get her pregnant. This chick is at 42, and at this stage here, she's like, hell, Tito Ortiz, I can't get nothing from him. Let me go ahead and see if I can get the rest of this. Let me see if I can get the rest of this. It goes on to say here, she tweeted, quote, "My husband is a Moroccan Jew. His family was forced from Morocco by the escalating violent Muslim climate there. Folks, do you understand what she's saying? She's talking about black people. Let's be very clear. When she keeps talking about Muslim, she's talking about black people. She's talking about black people. Let's be very clear about that. When she's talking about Morocco and Muslims, let's be very clear about who she's referring to. That's a code word, okay? Let's be very clear about the code words here. In this context, and yes, I understand Morocco is not all black. I want y'all to understand when she uses this term, it's one thing when a person just says it once, but when they have a pattern of using dog whistles specifically to cater to conservative white males, since when have conservative white males had a problem with Arabs, even after 9/11? Their ire was directed at black people, not Arabs. You didn't hear about racial profiling by police of Arabs. It was black folk. So when she keeps dropping Muslim and talking about that, y'all understand, you're supposed to just assume she's talking about Arabs or Asiatics or whatever. No, she's talking about black people. She's talking about black people because that is what her sponsor wants to hear. So she is mirroring him. She's mirroring him. It goes on to say, but then there was the time Jameson made headlines for her apparent defense of the Ku Klux Klan. Jameson tweeted, quote, Do the Ku Klux Klan follow a religion that orders the death of apostates? When was the last time a Klan member blew up infidels? Those are her words. I'm reading. And by the way, that tweet is still on Twitter, by the way. That tweet is still on Twitter. I'm going to post a link to the tweet in the chat room so you all can see it for yourselves. I won't stop to post it on the screen right now, but I'll go ahead and post the link to it in the chat room. You can see it for yourselves. She literally said, when was the last time the Klan blew up something? Do you remember the 16th Avenue Baptist Church? They killed 4 little black girls in the 60s. Malcolm X and everybody else talked about that. It was one of the events that supercharged the civil rights movement. The Klan had been blowing up black people in their places of worship. Infidels, someone who is a non-believer. When was the last time the Klan waged religious warfare? The Klan was founded upon religious warfare because white supremacy is their religion. Do you understand? I'm connecting all the dots here for you here. So anybody who tries to defend her, you're not going to be able to get too far with that. White supremacy is a religion. It puts on various cloaks. It can say Christianity. It can say Buddhism. It can say transcendental meditation. It can say Islam. It doesn't matter what jacket it wears. It is still the same beast underneath. So she's trying to sit up here and tell you that the Klan has never blown up people for religious reasons. And that's all the Klan has ever done is murder for religious reasons. But you got to understand, you see, at this point in her life, she's not accountable to the porn industry anymore. Remember, she used to have big deals with, who was that, Vivid Entertainment and Playboy. She used to have big deals with them, but she doesn't have those deals anymore. She's got to get out here and make it do what it do on her own now. So she needs another sponsor. Like a woman like her, she's never been a business-minded woman. She's always depended on white men to pay her way, and she's not gonna change now. She's simply trying to tee up the next white man who's gonna pay her way. That's all. Now, they go on to say, shortly after her alleged defense of the KKK, Jameson followed it up with another tweet, clearly not in favor of the Klan or Democrats. Quote, yes, and thank God they've been all but eradicated and forced into obscurity. No thanks to the Democrats who created them, which of course is bull jive because all your KKK today are supporters of the Republican Party, but as you all know, I've taught you all that Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, these are all various wings of white supremacy. So when people try that little bait and switch, try that little dodge, don't follow that red herring. Now, Jameson claims it was all a misunderstanding in the service of defending her family. She explained to the Daily Beast, quote, another Twitter follower compared ISIS to the KKK, and I responded with facts, saying, I defend an organization that wants the death of all Jews is wrong. I am Jewish, and so is my family. Okay. Nonetheless, many who revered her as an outlaw idol of porn now find her tirades on Twitter shocking. I'm going to skip down a little bit here, but the 42-year-old, okay, back then she was 42, so this would have been 4 of her years ago. So she was 42. The 42-year-old ex-porn star clearly appears happy to embrace the controversy of her alt-right views. She idolizes Ann Coulter, quote, I want to be her when I grow up, and the Illuminati-obsessed Paul Joseph Watson, you all know about his credentials, who called Iran a cancer, regularly shares anti-Muslim scare stories, and even tweets anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about George Soros funding cabals of liberals. The irony is apparently lost on her. She even trolled Representative Keith Ellison, Democrat of Minnesota, who is a Muslim. She trolled him until he blocked her on Twitter, before declaring him, quote, anti-Semitic for doing so. And by the way, she also defended Milo Yiannopoulos, in case I missed that. Yet, the story says, yet some may wonder how it's possible to respect Jameson's public defense of Milo Yiannopoulos, an alt-right fellow traveler who was forced to resign in disgrace from his perch at Breitbart after video emerged of him defending hebephilia. So, folks, I mean, this was back in 2017. Now, when Beckies age out of, the sexual, out of their sexual prime, when Beckies age out or condition out of their sexual prime, then they understand, okay, the next thing is you can now transition into Karen status. So as before, where you were barking out the orders to white men and they were catering and appeasing you, when you become a Karen, you are now submitting to the white male hierarchy. You're submitting to the white male social hierarchy. And you are conceding that the fight is over and that you are here to lend your strength to the social cause. Why? Because what they figured out is that as white men get older, they are more concerned about solidifying their control of the society. So they become less concerned about your sexual escapades when you were younger, either because they had similar adventures, and a lot of them have had similar interracial sexual adventures, so they can't really hold it against you. They're only going to hold interracialism against a white woman if she still defends it. If you're a white woman who's running around with black men or ran around with black men and you still defend it, that can work against you. But if you're talking the talk and throwing the dog whistles, once you transition into a Karen, he understands you ain't got sexual leverage like that anymore, so you're not a threat to him, and now you are submitting to the social hierarchy. And that's what they're doing there. Now we're submitting you to the social hierarchy. So she understands that by throwing those things out there, that's how you get the white men to start the process of rehabilitating you and transitioning you back into a favored status. Now, this isn't available to black women, by the way. Not available to a lot of non-white women. But this is primarily reserved for white women, that at some point you can be rehabilitated and reinducted back into the system. Once you finish, quote, having your fun or whatever, when you are ready to make that transition, they're going to back you. Why? Because they need support. Their political ideology trumps whatever offense they might have taken at your sexual activities. And she understands that. The Fox News crowd, they don't care about hypocrisy. They're built on hypocrisy. So long as the hypocrisy of 1 + 1 equals white supremacy. They don't care what you've been doing or what you used to do. So long as 1 + 1 equals white supremacy. And Jenna's not stupid. She's savvy. She's been knowing how to play them forever, and she's known to make that transition. So that is what she's done now. So don't be fooled when you see her talking like this. This is because white men are letting her know, hey, you've been a bit too run through. You've been run through too much. So what she's doing now is she's appealing to white knights, and she's appealing to dudes. If there's still any of that nostalgia, if there's still any potency left in nostalgia that she can rub off any, if you still got any diehard followers who still remember you back when you were 20 years old or 19 years old or 18 years old, if they remember you when you were a fresh face in the business, they're going to hang in there. So now she's throwing out red meat for them. If you still have any groupie orbiters still floating around out there. Oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I was young and stupid. I had been sexually abused. I was on drugs. I was out of my mind. I come from a bad home situation. Now, Jenna didn't talk like this 10 years ago when Hugh Hefner and friends were giving her contracts. She wasn't a victim of nothing back then, and she certainly wasn't calling it human trafficking. She wasn't talking about trafficking back then. So now all of a sudden, and by the way, I confronted her about that and she didn't respond to it. I was like, are you saying that pornography now is human trafficking? Because if it is, you need to come out and say that, because you're implying that pornography is human trafficking. If that's what it is, the hand that fed you all these decades, you need to come on out and say that's what it is. But she wouldn't do that. So that lets you know she's playing game. You know why? Because here's the thing that these folks don't understand or accept just yet, but she understands it. Jenna Jameson is going to reserve her right to re-enter pornography at some point in the future. You do understand that she's going to reserve her right to re-enter that world. That's her last resort. That's her trump card. But she's letting you know at some point, if y'all don't respond the way I need you to, I'm not going to condemn the pornography industry whole hog like that, because I might need to go back. I might be 47 or 48, but there's enough nostalgia out there that I might be able to go ahead and make one last run. We might be able to make one last run. I mean, we getting long in the tooth at it, but I might be able to do one more. I might be able to work this one more time. So I better not shoot the golden goose just yet. I better not fry the golden goose just yet, because I might need to go back there one more time just in case this baton dude really don't wife me up. I better hold out. Now, she understands that even if the beta male orbiters don't. She understands that even if the groupies don't understand it. And I understand it even if they don't understand it. I know, I see game. I see game. The porn industry fed you all this time. If you're going to slay it, go ahead and cut its throat and slay it. But you're not doing that. You're just mentioning it in the same sentence with traffic to strip clubs, So, okay, it was trafficking you then, and then you're dissing pornography. You're casting aspersions upon pornography without saying that pornography is trafficking also. Or that pornography, I told her, tell us that pornography is a bad thing. Now, she's not going to tell you pornography is bad, because she understands I might have to go back. I might have to make this trip back. So just understand that. I might have to go back. Now, there were literally a metric ton. After I posted this, I got flooded with people, all kinds of mayonnaise-infested insects came running onto my Twitter. They were angry. They were upset. How dare this black male speak like this? And all of them were Trumpers. All of them were alt-right people. All of them were alt-right Donald Trump supporters. All of them. All of them. So what that lets you know is her little ploy has worked. They don't understand they're being played, or they do, and they're just like, it doesn't matter. She's an ally. White supremacy is really just a band of allies. That's how you can be not white and yet be a white supremacist. It is a religion. It is a religion devoted to an ethnicity, but you do not have to be a part of the ethnicity to support it. It is a religion. So I got a whole bunch of folks, a whole bunch of males. Oh, people change. There's a second chance. Now, here's the thing. Had this been a black woman, if this had been Cinnabons or Cherokee or whatever black porn star you want to name, had this been a black woman, they would have rolled their eyes and said, yeah, right, Bushika. If this had been a black woman, they would have rolled their eyes. They certainly wouldn't have flooded on my page defending it. Do you think any of them lined up to defend Stacey Dash? Let's just remember, y'all, did any of them line up to defend Stacey Dash like this? Stacey Dash got arrested. She claims she got jumped on by her husband. Did any of these white folk in the alt-right or these right-wingers, did they come running to Stacey Dash's defense and say you shouldn't put hands on a woman? Did they come back and say that? Did any of them come back and say, they jumped her? Did they show their right-wing allegiance to Stacey Dash? Did any of these people come up on Twitter and show their Fox News right-wing allegiance to Stacey when Stacey needed them? Did she do that? Do you understand that? She knows she's playing them. Or at least she knows that she is here setting up something that serves her. And she gets that. I'm just connecting the dots for you here. I'm just connecting the dots for you. So that you understand. I'm just connecting the dots. Now in the chat room here, I got somebody who doesn't have all of their facts lined up. So if I open up the phone lines, I'm going to have a CO 122 189 will be able to call up and educate us. But we're going to get to that in just a few moments. So they had a whole bunch of folk running onto my timeline on Twitter, jumping on me, including this one. Now, this is Jules Jade. And you got to remember, Twitter allows porn stars to put up, X-rated material on Twitter. So if you talk about sex, your account can be suspended. But if you're a porn chick posting sex on Twitter, that's okay to do. By the way, for those of you who didn't know, posting sex on Twitter is okay to do. That's all right to do. But for the porn chicks, okay, you can do that. You can do that. So this Jules Jade got on here and said, wow, I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you all can see it a little bit better. I'm going to have to move it around a little bit, but you get the point. She said, wow, how sad you are. Cruel and inhumane. She is someone's mother and better yet, a person. Have you forgotten that? Go get some mental help for your rotten mind. Now, the irony of a chick who has over 500 porn videos. By the way, the irony of somebody with over 500 porn videos. I'm talking about Jules Jade. She's got more, or at least she claims to have more. Damn, I mean, I want to say like twice as many, maybe. I don't know. I went Googling it because I wanted to see, by the way, how many does Jenna have? And according to my Googling, she's got way more than Jenna Jameson's got. She got way more than Jenna Jameson. This woman's got, on her Twitter page, you can see it, over 5. She claims she's got over 500. Now, that ain't no little hump to get over. I don't care how dedicated to white supremacy you are when your broad been in 500 videos. That's gonna stick with you. I don't care how tough you think you are. That's gonna stick with you. That's gonna stick around. So the irony of somebody who's got a resume that damn long telling me that there's something wrong with me, I'm like, okay. Yeah, folks, we done seen it all when it gets there. And I found it to be very interesting because I don't want to make incorrect statements here. Let me go ahead and post this up for you here real quick. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that because I do want you to see that. While she's going to lecture me about what it means or what it's supposed to mean, I suppose, to have a rotten mind, I just found it to be very interesting that someone in her position, and by the way, there's a reason why she's doing that. When a female is putting her damn body count up front for the world to see, this is supposed to be basically exposing yourself before other people can do that. When you go off and do something like that, she's letting you know, oh, before you think you're going to out me, I'm going to out myself. Let me go ahead and post it on the screen for you here right quick. There it is right there on your screen. This is Jules Jade. And this is her day at the office or whatever in the hell else she's doing. This is a day in the life of over 500 films. That's not a little bit. That's not a little bit. There's some people who haven't been to work 500 days. Now, I want you to also notice some other things here. Notice what it says here. Adult film star with over 500 films. Business owner. Texas. Says she's from Texas. I want you to keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. She's letting you know something. She's letting you know something. Now, she wanted to take me to task. I just wanted to show you all that this is a screen capture from her Twitter page. She wanted to take me to task and say that I was cruel and inhumane and whatever in the hell that's supposed to mean, by the way. Whatever in the hell that's supposed to mean. So, I responded to say, by the way, I did a Google search on her. And by the way, when you go into Google Images, one of the first things you do, you'll see, oh, wait a minute. You got a whole bunch of brothers done gave her the DDT. Got a whole bunch of them. So that's why I was saying one last thing. Jules Jade has done a lot of interracial porn. And yet on her Twitter page, she talks as racist as Tucker Carlson and any commentator on Fox News. So brothers, if you think that a white woman can't have barbecue rib sauce sticky sex with you, get out of that bed with her white supremacist ideology intact. Think again. I mean, y'all can go take a look at it there. I mean, brother's been giving her draws the people's elbow. And yet, when you go to her Twitter page, it's Fox News right wing. I mean, she sounds like she's Donald Trump's publicist. So what does that show you? That shows you after 500 movies, many of which are her spreading her legs for black men, what it shows you is that don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean nothing. All that stuff she's done, that doesn't mean anything. She's letting you know, dude, I'm having sex with you as my profession. And that's the context in which I want to clarify her next statements here. Now, after I said this about her, you can see what she says on here. First of all, grammar is non-existent. So she's better at performing sex acts than she is at grammar and composition. I guess that should be no surprise. She says, you're an idiot. That makes 0 sense. I am a Republican. Yup, proud of it. Interracial scenes? Yes, I am not racist. Tucker from Fox doesn't speak like he's racist, not once, or I wouldn't watch him. So again, you're not a smart man. Then she blocked me, which is fine, but I'm just letting you all know, by the way, all I did was bring up her interracial sex scenes, and she went nuts. I didn't lie about her. I didn't lie about it. I simply said something that is factual. She's done interracial sex scenes unless she talks like Fox News. Understand that. Understand that. A lot of you guys out here are really, really oblivious to that, willfully so. Now, next order of business, Jules Jade is 42. 43. In case you didn't know, Jules Jade is 43 years old right now as I talk to you. She's 43, so she's younger than Jenna Jameson. Got a way longer sexual rap sheet. And she's younger. She done put in a hell of a lot more work. And that's what she's got to show for it. Now, what is it about her? So you got two white women in their 40s defending each other's racist right-wing views. And then you start taking a deeper look into it, and it starts making a little more sense to you. Now, first of all, what I'm going to do is put up a couple of pictures here. These are pictures of Jules Jade back in her prime, back in her heyday, back when she was young in the business. These are pictures of Jules Jade from then. Now, apparently, when she got into the business, her thing was being a hard body, I guess. So, she was really about having a fitness build to her. And so that was her thing. That was her thing. So you have a situation here where Jules is like, okay, I've got the look for it. What can I do with it? I got the look for it. What can I do with it? What can I do with it now that I need it? Now, this was her back in the day. If you want to know what it was that brought her into the business, this was her back then. Well, them's was the good old days, I suppose. Now, I'm not doing this to be mean. I am not doing this to be mean at all. These are photographs from her current Twitter page. These are photographs from her current Twitter page, from her current Instagram. I want you to see what that looks like. These are photographs from the current one. So you saw what it was like then, and you see what it's like now. You saw what it's like then, and you see what it's like now. Now, this isn't me. I'm not sitting up here. These are not pictures that I did or Photoshop. These are directly today, now, from her Twitter and her Instagram. Now, if you're upset with somebody, be upset with her. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and rag her about this, but what I am going to say is very simply, I don't care who you are. There's a long ass distance from this on your left to this on your right. There's a long ass distance between these two. That's a long distance. Long distance phone call. You got a ways to go. And she's only 42 is my point. She ain't 52, she's 42. 43. Keep messing that up. But she's only 43, people. She's only 43. Now, you all have seen Jennifer Lopez, and what? She's going on 50 now? You've seen a bunch of non-black women who are over 40, and it's like, usually, I mean, it don't always go like this. If it's going like this, now what I'm about to say here, now you can say that this is a little mean if you want to. Okay, fine. What I'm about to say now, you can hate me if you want to. Let me go ahead and just block that one off here. I just wanted to say a little bit about this. At 43 years old, I'm taking a look around these eyes. I'm taking a look around these lips. 43. 43. Here's my question. Do you think she's in need of a sponsor? You tell me if you believe that this is a person in need of a sponsor. Do you think that this is a woman who is still able to leverage her sexuality? You tell me. Is this a woman who's still able to trade her sexuality for the benefits? You tell me. Is she in a position to be able to do that now? I'm not being mean. I'm not being mean. I'm asking an objective question. Is this someone who is in a position to go out and call hands and say, I'm going to get them to bend to my will and get them to go along with what I want to do? Is this somebody who is able to do that? Is she still prepared to compete with the new crop that's out there? You tell me. I'm not even going to lead you on that one. You tell me if that's what she's able to do. I bring that up because I want you to understand. Okay, Jason, well, maybe you're just being too mean, and maybe you're just being too difficult, and you're not giving enough of a chance to it. Okay, well, that could very well be possible. It could just be that. I've been known to do that from time to time. Maybe we just don't have a better picture of her at this point. But then again, I went to her Instagram, so this is about as good as it gets. And just asking you objectively, to my black and my white listeners, is this a woman who is still ready to trade in the sexual marketplace, or is this a woman who understands it's time to cash out? I better pick up a new spiel. It's about time for me to be looking at cashing out. Does she have the ability to demand anything out of the sexual marketplace as it stands now? You tell me. For anybody who wants to think I'm mean about it. Now we make the connection between her. On your left is Becky. That's the point I'm trying to make. On your left is Becky. For anybody who has a problem with it or whatever, my point is, on the left side of your screen is Becky. Very clearly. On the right side of your screen is Karen. Very clearly. I just bring that up because I want you to understand that when you start seeing this type of behavior, and a lot of you're young and you've grown up with a cell phone in your hands, and you really just go off of what you see a lot of times, and you're not really thinking cognitively, certainly not thinking strategically. So you're just going to go off of what you see, and then you're going to jump out there and hope for the best. And that's not the way you want to do things. That is not the way you want to do things. This is too important for you to be jumping out there and hoping for the best. So there's a reason why you see these women, they get over the age of 35 and their whole damn rhetoric starts changing. Their whole rhetoric starts changing. You see, the problem, a different issue than Jenna had, or that Jenna has. She got a different issue. Different issue. You see, she got too many Negro bodies on herself. She got too many Negro bodies on her. So she's not going to be able to get away with little things like you would have been accustomed to. She got too many bodies on her. She doesn't have the option of saying, well, screw it, I'll do something different. She can't do that. She's got to just stick with what she's got. She got to stick with what she has. So in this situation here, it's just like, hell, we just got to let it go. We just got to let it go. We just got to let it do what it do. We got to make it do what it do at this point. And see if there's one last run to be had. But if you wonder what the Becky looks like compared to the Karen, this is it. And yeah, they talk a bit differently, don't they? Do you think this is somebody, you tell me, is this somebody starved for resources? Is this somebody who needs resources? Is this somebody who would be like, hey, Jason, shut up, you busting up my hustle? You tell me who needs more. You tell me who needs more. As it stands right now, these are folks who understand that, hey, this is the last train leaving. This is the last train leaving. And I can't trade on sexuality. I will see if I can trade on ideology. I can no longer trade on my sexuality. I will now trade on ideology. Because you see, my looks may fade. Having sex with me may not be in their personal interest to a degree, but it will always be in white supremacist interests. You will always be in our white supremacist interest to stand by that. As far as white supremacy is concerned, she understands that's not gonna spoil. So you see, when you go into a place like Fox News, she doesn't have to compete against some 20-somethings there. She doesn't have to compete against them. She only needs to go ahead and compete against other 40-year-olds. That's different. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing. As far as these folks are concerned, once you get on Fox News' panel, now she's got to compete with some old judges, some old prosecutors, some old politicians. So yeah, compared to the Beckies, she's out of style. She's out of date. She's too old to compete with the Beckies, but she's still got enough to be able to compete with the Karens. She can be at the top of the chain over a bunch of Karens. She's got enough to be able to compete with some of them. Certainly with the crowd that hangs out over there, she got enough pull that she can hang out with some of them. She can make it against some of them. Didn't say she's gonna win against all of them, but she can make it against some of them, and that's the game she's playing. She doesn't have to compete against the Beckies anymore. As long as she can beat 50% of the Karens, we aight. Long as we can defeat 20%, long as we can beat half of the other Karens, I'm okay. I'm okay. The other thing is, like I said, when she talks about interracial sex, when she's sitting up here defending interracial sex, you got to understand what that means for her. And that's why I was pulling this out before. If you understand what it actually means, it doesn't mean to you that statement isn't really made for your ears. That statement's not really made for you. It's not really intended for you. You see, when she talks about she's not racist, there's a difference between saying you're not racist and you like sleeping with black men. There's a difference between those two. There's a difference between I'm not racist and I don't mind. And a lot of folks don't understand that. YouTube is trying to mess with my audio here for some reason. Well, not for some reason. We understand why they're messing with it. But definitely, when it's time for them to cash out, they're going to try to cash out big. That's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to cash out big. Because it's the last train leaving. That's going to be an issue. Right now, they need that to happen. Right now, she needs somebody to look past what she was doing and say, well, she's still good for something else. And there'll be some lame ass dude, some carpet salesman who was out there, you know, doing nothing when he was younger. He wasn't really a jock. He wasn't really, you know, the women's choice back then. There'll be some guy out there who was able to do that. There'll be some guy who was doing that, and next thing you know, she'll find some guy who was a lame back when she was, who still remembers her. He's got nostalgia from when he was 20. And he's still going to remember what she used to be like, and he'll wait for it. Now, he's not her preferred choice, mind you. She's not his preferred choice. She don't want that. That's not really who she's looking for. She really looking for something like she could have caught back when she was 20 or 22. She really looking for that. But she'll be like, I'll settle for this lame ass over here if I got to. Why? Because she doesn't have the option anymore. So what she's going to do is say, interracial scenes, yes, I'm not a racist. But then she turns around and says, Tucker from Fox doesn't speak like he's racist. She sits up here and describes herself basically in alt-right terms. I'm a Republican. Tucker Carlson isn't a racist. So she describes everything that agrees with them and then tells you, well, I did have some interracial scenes. Yes, I'm not racist. So you got to understand how she's going to write that off. She's going to write that off as, well, I only did it for the money. I did it for the money. I did it for the money. I did it because, you know, that was my profession. That's not what I prefer. I didn't really like it. No, baby. All of those bull-built black men, I didn't really like that. You know, I get paid to fake it. I get paid to fake like I like it. But I didn't really like it. That wasn't really what I was into. I wasn't really looking for that. That's what she'll be able to do. And understand, there's going to be a receptive audience to that because they're going to judge her now. Because you have to understand, it's like joining a gang. Y'all understand how it is when you're joining a gang. Who is the most dangerous person in the gang? The OGs who've been there for 20, 30 years? Or the young cats who want to be in the gang and feel like they got to really wild out and really overcompensate so they can convince the OGs to let them in? Who's the most dangerous person when you're dealing with a gang? The person who's already in, or the person who is trying to convince the ones who are already in to let them in? So you got to understand, she got to overcompensate. She's got to let them know, because she wasn't exercising proper judgment back in the day. Back in the day, she was like, hey, I'm going to jump on these black men while there's still something to be had. Now she's like, let me do that. Okay, let me just ask you all a question. Does I'm not a racist jibe with being a Republican in Fox News? Because what she's letting you know, by the way, is that she watches Fox. She's a Fox News watcher. And she knows Tucker Carlson, and quote, I wouldn't watch him if he wasn't. Oh, so she watches him. So she watches him, which means she watches the rest of the stuff at Fox. I watch the rest of the stuff at Fox too. Oh, so people, Does I'm a Republican Fox News viewer, a Republican faithful Fox News watcher, does that equal not racist? Since when did that start equaling not racist? You can't watch Fox if you're not a racist. Or unless you're one of their opponents gathering racist information against them. I want you to understand this is the way that they're doing things. Understand the code speak when you hear it. It doesn't mean what you think it means. That sentence is calibrated for the purposes of getting these white men off her ass. She's come up with an explanation at least that will work for some of them. It'll at least work for some of them. So that's what she's trying to do now, is see if she can come up with an explanation that'll please them. See if we can get them to let a little bit more go. Because she knows there's a bunch of them who ain't gonna fool with her no matter what she did. But she also understands that there's a bunch of these white dudes, they slept with a bunch of black women too. She understands that. She understands there's a bunch of these white dudes when they were younger, they had some brown sugar. And she understands that. She understands that when you're a well-to-do white man, you sleeping with everything, because white men believe, and this is the part of the red pill thing folks don't talk about, white men believe that they have a right to racial access to whoever they want to. Now, nobody else can have it. If you're a white man, why, you have a right to sleep with any woman you want to. You have the king's privilege. If you're a white man. Now, everybody else, now he wants to control their sexual behavior. You can't do what he does. Now, he can lay up with your women and every damn thing else he wants to. He can sexually assault. He can do as he pleases. There are no rules on him. The rules only come into effect when it's somebody else. It only comes into effect when it's someone else. When it's somebody else, all of a sudden, you start getting told what you can't do. And what can't happen. And what you're not allowed to have. Starting with white women. So if you're if you're asking yourself, well, Jason, why is it that she was doing this in the first place? If you know that in the porn business, that really drags down your value. She was young and rebellious. She's letting you know. I mean, you have some of them who are young and rebellious. They come from bad homes or whatever the case may be. So she wanted to show them, you ain't going to tell me what to do with my draws. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get a unique physique that is more marketable to a certain niche audience. But she was young and rebellious. She was trying to exercise her power. She felt she could do no wrong. And I'm going to show you, you can't do nothing to me. You can't do nothing to me. That was supposed to be the whole point that she was proving. That y'all can't do nothing to me. So what I'm saying is just understand what you're really seeing and what you're really hearing through all this. Understand that. As these women get older, they don't talk anything like they did when they were 25. They don't talk anything like that as they get older. If they believe that they've got the ability to reintegrate back into the system and to find a sponsor, they're going to mirror the sponsors. They're going to mirror them. Not going to be mean about it, but let's just keep it 100. Folks, I mean, just from an objective point of view, that was her Becky stage over there on the left. And this is her Karen stage over here on the right. You tell me. You tell me how much leverage she got. You tell me if this is somebody. And there's another thing, by the way. All this damn surgery she's had. That's another thing. All that stuff costs money, man. All those surgeries cost money. Those surgeries cost money. Those Botox injections. I'm not here to spit on nobody, but I'm just saying, if you take a look at them lips, those Botox injections, you're overdoing it. It's seen better days. It's seen better days. Yes, that's the same woman on your screen. One's at 20 and the other one's at 40 plus. The one on the left is her in her 20s. The ones on the right are her today in her 40s at 43. And she needs things, folks. She needs things. If you take a look at her when she was younger, she didn't have big cartoonish breast implants like that. I mean, at least they looked, they didn't look nearly so abnormal. And what I'm telling you that as you get older, I mean, obviously she's gotten bigger implants as she's gotten older. She's gotten new stuff. Yes, somebody said it botched. Yeah, she's ready for an episode of Botched. But then again, you know, she's kept her body fat levels so low and whatnot. You know, them implants ain't going to do for you at 43 what they did for you at 23. It's not going to happen. But she's just like you got some black men. Come on, fellas, we got to be honest here. Just like you have some black males who all they see is a woman's rear end and they literally can't see nothing else. They have tunnel vision. They see a big ass and they don't notice anything else. If she's got a slim waist and a big ass, they literally don't take a look at the fact that in the face, she looks like 50 Cent. Well, when it comes to white women, if she got a little waist and big breasts, there's a number of white dudes, they don't see nothing else. So brothers, if you want to understand, well, how in the hell could they miss that? How the hell can so many of y'all miss Lizzo? How the hell can so many of you miss that? Why do you think Lizzo is running around here hopping around like a big ass hippo? How many of y'all are missing that? Y'all see these damn chubby chasers out here. They just see a big ass and he don't notice anything else. Well, the same is true with a lot of white guys. So this is for the purposes of deflecting away from her negatives. You can't see her negatives now. Or at least it's to offset them. And there are a number of guys that this will work for. This will work. Okay, you're saying the breast implants are too big. Baby, this is survival now. I mean, yes, it's got to be giving her hella back pain, but this is survival. This is survival. She doesn't have the age anymore to compete with those 20-something chicks. So right now, she's got to pull out all the stops and have things that deflect away from her lack of youth and vitality anymore. So she got to go in. She doesn't have the luxury of back pain. She's got to snag a sponsor while there's still a sponsor to be snagged. That's what she got to do. She got to grab somebody while there's still one to be grabbed. Now, what I'm going to say next now, I've been nice up to this point. I have been nice. I'm going to continue to be polite, at least as polite as I'm going to get. I'm going to try to continue to be polite here, but what I am going to say is, you know, you can look however you want to look, and that's fine. Do your thing, or whatever the case may be. But boy, I couldn't help but notice you all tell me, is that face 40? Does that face say no longer in my prime? Or does that face say drug habit? I'm not one to usually be mean like that and whatnot. That's easy to do. You tell me, does that face say I'm 43? Or does that face say I'm dealing with a drug issue? Come on now, to my hustlers, to my street niggas, to my street chicks, y'all tell me. You take a look around them eyes. Take a look at them eyes. And you tell me, is that I'm 43 years old, or is that I'm dealing with a drug habit? You tell me. Is she 43 or is she 5150? That's all I'm saying. And I need that sponsor. So, folks, I'm just letting you know right now, if you got plastic surgery and a drug habit, that ain't something you can pay for yourself. Oh, yeah. And by the way, if you all go see Tito Ortiz's interview with Vlad TV, he dropped the dime on Jenna Jameson about that, too. That, by the way, Jenna Jameson is still taking drugs. And that's why Tito was like, I couldn't fool with her no more. And that's why Tito got custody of the children. Now, when have you ever heard of a man steamrolling a woman in court for custody of the kids? Tito was able to do it because Jenna wasn't in no condition. Probably still isn't. And what I'm going to say to you is birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. So don't let the fact that they're over the age of 40 deceive you into thinking, oh, ain't no drug habit. Everything's fine. No, folks. No, it ain't. No, it's not. I'm just asking questions. No sense in asking her. She's just going to say no. I'm just telling you right now, at 43, isn't a woman supposed to be putting on weight at 43? Isn't a woman supposed to be putting on weight at that point? Isn't she? I mean, if you take a look at this here, you know, with Jenna Jameson here, let me go ahead and remove some of these so you can take a look at what she was looking like here in 2017. You tell me. You tell me. As women get older, ain't they supposed to start like putting on weight? And I don't mean necessarily getting fat, but I am saying once they get in their 40s, are they supposed to start, you know, losing, I don't want to say wasting necessarily, but they're supposed to be getting super slim like that in their 40s? Is that the way that works? Is that the way that works? No, when Beckies become Karens, they're looking for a man to do for them what he was doing for them back when they were Becky, when they were at the height of their abilities. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for that type of sponsor. They want that. So when you have somebody like Jenna Jameson coming at me, you got to understand, all I did was say what the damn obvious is, by the way. All I did was say the obvious. When they get older, they start looking for a way to rehab their history, rehab their past, explain it away, convince the world I didn't really mean it. Because there's a pathway for them to be reintegrated into the society. Now, I didn't say they're going to succeed, but there is a path that will allow it. For everybody else, there's not a similar pathway. Unfortunately, for most other women, there's not going to be a similar pathway. A lot of them, if they get stuck without a chair when the music stops, it's just going to be bad for them. It really just is. Now you tell me, is there a tycoon that you think is lined up for this? You tell me if your red pillars have been explaining this to you. Is there a tycoon lined up to take them off the market? You tell me who's lined up and ready to go. You tell me who's ready to get cracking. I'll wait to hear that. Who's ready to get cracking like that? if you got to pay for somebody's drug habit, and like I say, when you get in those scenes and whatnot, the guys you're with, like I say, they do cocaine and stuff like that. So it's not like she's by herself. But here's the issue. The issue is, do you want to pay for somebody else's drug habit? Okay. Do you want to pay for somebody else's drug habit? It takes a special kind of guy to be able to pay for a woman who's over the age of 40. You got a bunch of bodies on you. Now, let's also be clear. Yes, they were coming at me in her defense by the dozens. Let's be clear about this, though. There's a bunch of dudes out there. I mean, can we be honest? There's a bunch of dudes out here. They like their white women to be perverted. They like to know that their white woman does everything. Okay? I mean, it's not going to be an impediment. A lot of these dudes, they don't want some young chick who don't really know what she's doing. They want an old pro who knows exactly how to get down. Can we just keep it all the way real? They looking for an old pro who knows what she doing when she gets there. They want somebody who can drink them under the table. They want somebody who is able to do more drugs. They want somebody who is able, they want somebody that they don't have to ask if they sleep with men or women. They want somebody who can do more lines of cocaine. They want somebody who can do more drugs, who can do more liquor. They want somebody who can stay up later. They want a female who can compete with them. That's what they're looking for. So a lot of y'all who are saying, well, this heifer is 46 years old. Yeah, but she an old pro at it. She's an old pro. Okay, for the folks who are saying, well, they was going at you, TBA, about that, y'all got to understand that they're going to defend their white womanhood, man. They're going to do that. They're going to do that. I've told y'all about that before. At the end of the day, they are going to be invested in white womanhood. They might play around and dabble with a bushika here or there, but when it is time to invest, when it is time to actually lay down the resources, they're going to look for a white woman. That's what it's going to be. Even if she ragged out or every damn thing else, they're going to look for a white woman to drop off those resources with. They're going to look for a white woman to do the heavy investing with. That's why Stacey Dash has been running around like a damn chicken with her head cut off, trying to figure out if there's yet another sponsor in the pipeline, and there isn't one. There isn't another sponsor in the pipeline. She's waiting for it, but the truth of the matter is there isn't going to be one. There isn't. But there's some other women who haven't figured out that there's not going to be a sponsor coming for them either. Unfortunately, some of them haven't figured that out either. And that's going to be a problem for them, especially if they are hard-headed or whatever the case may be. That's going to be difficult for them. Because you see, some of y'all have told yourselves that there's a Becky route for you. And I'm here to tell you, no, there will be no Beckiness in your future. You're not going to have the options that she has. You're not going to be able to do any of those things. You can tell yourself all you want to, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to do that. And if you waste your time, and you've got precious little of it, if you waste your time and tell yourself, well, there will be a rehab waiting in the wings for you, I'm just here to let you know, no, there's not going to be any such animals showing up for you. Some people were under delusions about this, they're getting their wake-up call a little bit later in life. That's a hell of a time to be getting it too, by the way. Hell of a time to be getting a wake-up call about what to expect from the future. And speaking of futures, I suppose I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some rappers, or at least just one in particular. Now, for those of you who are not following, and this dovetails about off of what I'm talking about here tonight, for those of you who may not have been following, in the last week or so here, your man 50 Cent has been out here and he said some unkind words about black women. Rap music's favorite troll, because that's all he is. He's not a rapper anymore. Your favorite troll is out there doing what he does. That wasn't the part that caught my attention, however. The part that caught my attention was right after that. His ex, one Vivica A. Fox, comes running up and she gets together with her gal pals out there. And they're doing their little round table thing and they get together. And they start lambasting 50 Cent over this. And they got a lot to say. Well, she had a lot to say. And I just couldn't help but reflect on the fact that while she was saying all these negative things about 50 Cent and whatnot, I just couldn't help but reflect on the fact that, by the way, you were perfectly fine with him back when you were in your heyday. I mean, you didn't have a problem with him back then. Back when you had options, that was what you wanted. Back then. Now that ain't no benefits coming, all of a sudden it's, oh, I ain't really digging him like that. Oh, interesting. Because that wasn't what you were saying before. You were not talking like this before, back when you had options. Now, I'm going to attempt to play some audio here, hopefully with very few difficulties. I'm going to attempt to play a clip here for you and then come back and see if we can give some comment on that. This is them from, what was that, Fox Soul. If I can get it to play, we'll go ahead and do that.
And go first if you like.
You to sit over there and be a pretty little doll that you can just pay, right? Can't handle a black woman, can you?
I'm gonna say something.
So Vivica at 55 is playing the can't handle a black woman card, such as it is. First of all, nobody wants to handle anything. That's the first thing. Second of all, you got to have leverage to get folks to handle something. Third of all, you didn't have a problem getting handled back when y'all were in your 20s and 30s. He was handling you pretty good back then. Fourth of all, although have I lost count, 20 years later, and she's still talking about 50 Cent. Ladies, when you are looking in the rearview mirror, men can see that. That's not a good look when everything is when your best days are behind you. When you're looking at the world through your rearview mirror and everything is about where you used to be, that's a problem. You should be able to show us where you're at, not where you were. You should be able to show us where you're at. Kind of reminds you of Ice-T's old lady. Every time you turn around, she's talking about Ice-T this and Ice-T that. I'm like, baby, he ain't been with you for 30 years. How are you still talking about this man? Every conversation goes back to him. We should be talking about you, shouldn't we? We should be talking about you, but we're not. But we're not. So what I'm saying is, ladies, you squander these years, you squander these opportunities at your own peril. A woman ain't supposed to be 50 plus years old, and the subject of discussion is routinely turning to an ex. Say what you want to about Kim Kardashian, her exes spend their time talking about her. Well, likewise, that's the way you can tell who was dominant in a relationship, because if you talk to one of them, the subject comes back to the other person. You can tell who's dominant. You can tell who's running it. You can tell who has more prestige and who has more status when the discussion comes back to them. You can tell. It's not hard to see. If she had it going on, she'd be talking about herself. But she's not. And this brings us to the next very harsh reality you have to understand here, folks, because we started talking about when Beckies become Karens, but black folk, we also need to discuss some post-wall pettiness. Ladies, you gonna make it or you gonna fake it or you gonna fail. It's gonna happen that way. But start looking for these little mile markers along the way. Vivica is 55 years old. 55. 55. She's basically in Pam Grier territory at this point. I'm just being dead ass honest. Will someone explain to me where her leverage is? At 55. 55. Will someone tell me who is the sponsor who is going to step up to take her off the market at 55? And oh yes, she has cosmetic needs also. She has cosmetic needs too. She needs, regular cosmetic work. She would like to have a sponsor for that also. At 55, what will it be? I also want you to take a look at the difference in behavior. This is going to be a tough one to swallow, but I gotta say this. Do you notice the difference in behavior from when the Beckies become Karens as opposed to the Vivicas? You see, as when Beckies transition into Karenhood, they start submitting more. They start looking for more resources and start submitting more. They start mirroring the men. They don't start defying the men. They start mirroring them. Jenna Jameson is mirroring Beton, and Jules Jade is mirroring Tucker Carlson. As they get older, they start mirroring these men. They're not trying to defy them. Meanwhile, in Vivica world, you need a sponsor, but your reaction is to begin being defiant. But I guess that's understandable. I guess that's understandable when there is no sponsor coming. I guess that's understandable. If you know that there's not a sponsor coming and there's not really a lot you can do to entice them, she understands. She understands. The time for her to be locking down a sponsor was back when she was doing Kill Bill. That was the time for Vivica to say, all right, enough is enough. I'm coming off the market. The time for Vivica Fox to cash out was when she did Kill Bill. That was the time for her to cash out right then. She was at the apex of her abilities. She was going to get the most she was going to get. That was the time for her then to cash out. Or at the very least, I should say that was the last train leaving. Wasn't going to be another one. The smart money told her this. She stuck around anyway. Even after it was clear, there's really no more good money to take off the table. Why would she do that? She did that because she was holding out for another 50 Cent. She wanted somebody who made her feel young and reckless again. So she was holding out for another 50 Cent the same way she's holding out for one today. If you want to know what happened, that's what happened. She's been holding out. And she's wanted somebody to go ahead and step in there and say, okay, let's give her one last run. But you've already had your last run. She's already had her last run. I say this as a public service announcement because a lot of females, they don't have an older female who is going to let them know that there's rules to this. And let's be very clear, we call it game because there's rules. And they're not letting them know there's rules to this thing you're doing. You can't just sit out here and try to wing your way through it. There's rules to this. And if you break the rules break you. If you break the rules are going to break you. So if you sit on the sidelines too long, you're going to end up looking in the rearview mirror, criticizing those who are younger. And really, you have to recognize that for what it is. It's not so much that they're younger. It is that you see that they still have time. That's the difference. You're criticizing them because you're looking at them and realizing, hey, they still have time. I don't have time anymore. You see, when a chick is screwing up at, let's just say 25, she's still got 3 or 4 years left to get it in gear. She's still got 3 or 4 years left. She can still turn this thing around. She's not out of options yet. When a chick is 35, she's pretty much out of time. And by the time a chick is 40, she's out of time. She's out of time altogether. The clock is run out. So she's looking at younger females really enviously, but even more than that, she's looking at the men more scornfully. Why is she looking at the men with scorn? Well, yeah, you can understand why she's bitter and catty with the females, but why is she scornful with the men? She's angry with the younger females who still have options, and she is bitter with the men because they're choosing something else over her, because in her mind, she's saying, I have a wealth of experience. And she's right. She's right. She does. She does. She does. I mean, when a chick is 40, 45 years old, yes, she's got a wealth of experience. If she's lucky, she's learned something. You have experience, but you don't have vibrancy. That's the difference. You have experience, but you don't have vibrance. The younger female has more years in front of her to dedicate to raising a man's status. A female at 50, her presence doesn't raise your status. A female at 45, her presence doesn't raise your status. A female at 40, her presence doesn't raise her status. It doesn't raise your status as a man. So you have a bunch of females who are trying to attract men with their female producer credentials. I'm a female and I've done. Let me explain to you where you get it wrong, people. Ladies, let me explain to you where you get it wrong. When you're dealing with a man who's a builder, don't start the sentence with I've done. We're talking about what you've done. That never ends well. Men are not impressed by what you have quote unquote done. We are impressed by what you are, not by what you've done. You see, a man builds his status off of what he does. Men have to do things to have status. A woman, what it is that she does is what she is. That is the status. She gets men to value her based on what she is. If she is smart, if she is pretty, if she is young and doesn't carry a bunch of baggage. Now, there's the other issue right there. The other reason that old women can't compete with young women is old women. I got to just tell y'all, those of you who are 35 and in some cases 30 and older, y'all have too much baggage. You've carried around too much baggage from your late teens and 20s of all of your expectations. You felt entitled, all of your entitlement expectations. I know a bunch of females in their 20s right now here on the business. I'm not calling y'all out, but I'm calling y'all out. They're in their 20s and they're telling you about they expect to be married in a few years. Telling you about what they expect. And it's all good if she actually gets what she wants. But if she makes it to 30 and it didn't work out the way she wanted, she's not going to look at herself and say something went wrong. And she's not going to say that she made a mistake. She's going to blame it on the men and say, well, I was ready, but the men didn't have their act together. Now, guess what, ladies? You got baggage. You got baggage. And a man who's productive and has options and can have exactly what he wants, he's not trying to invite baggage into his zone of peace and tranquility. He ain't trying to do that. Let's just keep it 100. He's not trying to do that. So a younger female doesn't have your quote unquote experience, but the problem is your experiences usually come on a conveyor belt or a luggage rack or a luggage cart. Understand that. A younger female is not going to do that. A younger female is not going to do that. A younger female hasn't acquired the baggage yet, and as men, we know that simply by looking at her, simply by talking to her. Understand that. If I can get this thing to act correctly on here. When they're running around and they're trying to flex their female privilege or whatever the case may be here, you know, there's a reason why they do that. You can see it in their faces. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their look when they've got entitlement. Now, in the case of Jules here, this picture on the left, by the way, is available on eBay. If anybody wants a picture like that on eBay. That's a picture of Jules Jade, who had all kinds of choice comments for me on Twitter. Well, that's a picture of Jules Jade. And you can take a look at her. She doesn't understand it. Let me just say it like it is. That body screams baggage. Let's just keep it real. That body screams baggage. That body screams a lot of road miles. Now, the picture over there on your left, that was Jules back when she was in her 20s. That was back when she was a Becky. When she's a Karen, you can see the road miles on her. You can see and she's only 43. Those pictures on the right, that's only her at 43. That's not her at 53 or 63. That's only 43. What does that tell you? That tells you there's a lot of miles on it. But then again, by her own admission, she's been in over 500 porno films. So you damn right there's a lot of baggage. You damn right there is. So when a man looks at her, it doesn't matter what race he is, a man can look at her and see, he can see the difference between those two. Oh, you carrying baggage. Now, another thing is, will you all explain to me, because you can see what she looked like on the left. She didn't used to have those cartoonish breast implants. What is it that would possess a 43-year-old female to increase her silicone breast size? I would submit to you that that's baggage also. That's baggage too. You see, confidence is sexy, but when you get breast implants and you just don't give a damn how they look, that doesn't say confidence. That says desperation. That says you feel it's slipping away. You feel it's slipping away. Somebody in the chat room said, old white rich men. Yeah, I mean, there might be another. She might be able to pull off an Anna Nicole Smith. She might be able to, but I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say this. You would be, I know a lot of you are kind of surprised. Jason, why are you being so nice about this and whatnot? I'm saying this because I want this to be available for general consumption. And if I just go black Ayatollah, they might get upset with me. It's not that I really care so much about being upset. I just want you to be able to listen. And I'm not trying to be mean. I am going to ask a question. I couldn't help but notice that the hairline on the left and the hairlines on the right look a bit different. And very clearly, it looks like she's wearing weave. A white woman with hair weaves. Okay, it clearly looks like she's doing that. But it also looks like that hairline is going into retreat. So I don't know if it's traction alopecia. I don't know if that's the case. But I am saying that whatever she needs to be able to get that hairline back where it belongs obviously ain't coming together. She needs somebody with some deep paper to take care of that. I submit to you that that is baggage also. I submit to you that's baggage also. And folks, by the way, I'm not trying to be mean. These pictures of her on the right, because on the left is her in her 20s, on the right is her in her 40s. Those are what are up on the internet on her web pages now. Those are what's up on her web pages now. Today. So I'm not putting her out there. I'm telling you all that she felt that this was appropriate to present herself to the public. She felt like this was appropriate now, today. As I'm talking to you all, she felt like this was the way to go. This was the thing to do. She felt like that was the way for her to go with it. I'm saying that that's a body that screams baggage. That body screams miles and miles. And I've been trying to fix it up. I've been trying to remodel it. I've been trying to tear out, put in new carpeting. I've been trying every trick in the book here to try to get back to, to distract you from what happened on the left. Ladies, when you carry around a bunch of baggage, that's something that a man's got to be with too. He's got to be with that too, especially when your baggage is all over your body. If you're trying to leverage your body for benefits, but your baggage is all over your body, exactly what is it you're trying to leverage? What exactly are you trying to leverage? Now, she might be able to pull an Anna Nicole Smith and find some old dude who's in his 90s and he's just looking for a broad who he can make an arrangement with before he leaves this mortal coil. You might find some old dude out there, some old Bob Barker type of fella, who he's more concerned about the fact she's younger than he is about some of the outrageous stuff going on. That at least she's younger than him, and he knows she's able to do a bunch of XXX rated stuff. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it now. Anna Nicole Smith was able to grab one. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. I mean, and then again, also, by the way, don't just relegate it to white. I mean, she might find some Arab dude. Why do you think? Oh, she might find some Arab fella, some Middle Eastern fella, some Israeli. She might follow her friend Jenna Jameson. She might be able to do that. She might be able to make that work. She might be able to make that work. We don't know. Don't know. It just might happen. If it does, we understand. But if it doesn't, I just want to make it very clear when somebody opens up their Twitter page, and by the way, yes, I am going to remind you about that. When somebody opens up their Twitter page advertising their sexual history, when a woman introduces herself to you with her sexual history, stop me if any of what I'm about to say sounds familiar. She's letting you know that she is reserving her right to re-enter the business. That she's in her 40s, and I don't even think that Jewel may not even be out of the business yet. She's letting you know she reserves her right to re-enter the business. So just in case she can't find a zaddy to fill in them gaps, she reserves her right to re-enter the business. So when we say it like that, does it make a little bit more sense now why she said the things that she said to me? For those of you who are late joining us, it's about Jules Jade going at me for something that I said about Jenna Jameson, and they came out with their Fox News Karen talking points. But folks, does that make a little bit more sense to you now? You see, even at the age of 43, this white woman is still playing both sides of the fence. Do you get that? Even at the age of 43, she is still playing both sides of the fence. She is letting you know that she's pandering to white men, but she still has, because she knows how niggas think, she's still got some black dudes who remember her from back in the day. So she wants a white sponsor, but at the same time, she doesn't want to annihilate her ability to return to the business and take up where she left off with her partially black male fan base. So she's letting the white guys know that, by the way, she's holding that out as her insurance policy. She's still hanging on to that as her insurance policy. That just in case she's got to return, just in case you all really do force her to make it and swim on her own, she's letting you know, I'm keeping my options open. She's letting white men know. That was that line is thrown in there for. By the way, I'm not a racist. That's to leave the white guys on notice. I ain't gonna mess up my porn money. Just in case y'all don't come through, and just in case y'all don't cake me up now that I need it, just in case you all don't, I ain't too old to get back out here and hustle these draws. I'm still going to the gym. I'm still in good shape. So she's letting you know I'm 43 years old, but I ain't old. I ain't too old to get back out here and hustle these draws if I just got to. I'm letting you know. This is why I want you to understand, when you are dealing with people like this, we don't talk about the racism of the red pill. Y'all don't talk about red pill racism, because you can't discuss hypergamy without discussing the racial aspect of it. You live in a system of white supremacy. There are racial dynamics to literally everything. So how is it that we can be talking about red pill and hypergamy, and yet we are not going to talk about the fact that, by the way, when you're dealing with white women, if you're going to be supposed red pill and give out game, shouldn't you be explaining the racial aspects to it and say, by the way, the rules change, or at least the rules may alter slightly or greatly from one race to another? Why is it they don't tell you that? If we're going to really tell you the truth, why is it we don't put that out there for you if we're really going to tell you the truth? Why don't they sit up here and say, by the way, when it comes to white women, you got to understand, when it comes to white women as they get older, when they're looking for a beta male to take them off the market. When they're done with what they call it, Chad, when they're done with the Chads and they're looking for a beta male provider, what they don't tell you is that a white beta male provider, he wants to know, oh, I might be a nerd and I might be socially awkward, but nothing is going to make me feel more inferior than if you've been laying up with black men, because he's going to have this image of the black male African alpha. And all of his inadequacies are going to bubble to the surface, and he's going to be like, okay, I might be a nerd and a geek, but I'm not going to be laying up with you with visions of Lex Steele trampling through my head. I'm not going to do that. So he's going to want to know, before he starts providing for you, he's going to want to know that. I don't give a damn who it is. It could be the most beta cuck dude you can imagine. He's going to want to know if you've been with some black men. He's going to want to know that. Now, that is a rule. That's a red pill rule, but you don't hear the red pill dudes talk about that. And that's why you all have the business. We don't give you the red pill. We got something far better and far more accurate, the black book. So put your red pills down. That's for drug addicts. Welcome to the black book. So you understand, they don't give you this kind of conversation over there. They don't tell you, by the way, there's rules to this. And when white women get older, there's a social structure that is enforced upon them as a group, not as individuals, but as a group. When they go looking for a beta male provider, there are going to be rules to that. There will be rules. You know, how many of these Karens do you see looking for some black male beta provider? You all tell me. Yeah, you might find some gross chick out the trailer park. Yeah, but I'm talking about the Jules Jades and the Jenna Jamesons. When it was time for them to go find their beta provider, the betas were like, yeah, I mean, I can hold you down financially, but I need to check this vagina resume right quick. Whoa, Lex Steele, Mr. Marcus Mandingo? He gonna take a look at that. Baby, he's gonna Google you, and every insecurity and inadequacy that he has, every anxiety that he has is going to come bursting to the forefront. All you have to do is go to Google Images and look up Jules Jade interracial, and I don't care how strong a white supremacist he thinks he is, he gonna see some of them brothers and be like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can handle this. He's going to spend the rest of his life punishing her ass. That's what's going to happen. He's going to spend the rest of his, if he does take her in, he's going to spend the rest of his life punishing her. He's going to spend the rest of his life punishing her. It's like, you were really with a dude named Mandingo. Are you serious? You were really with a dude named Nat Turner. You were literally with a guy named Mandingo. You tell me he's going to be able to get that image out of his head. You tell me that image is ever going to migrate out. No, I mean, her list of names is real long and real strong. We get that. But you tell me that he is ever going to be able to get that image out of his head. I don't care how mentally strong he thinks he is. If you're a white dude and your woman has been flip-flopped by a fella named Mandingo, and he actually lives up to his name, oh no, you're not gonna get over that. You're not gonna get over that. They don't talk about this in the red pill, by the way. Y'all get over there with them and whatnot and Rolla Tomasi and friends. They don't say stuff like this. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that, by the way, they've got a mechanism that enforces a code. So the beta Brad is going to take a look at her and be like, oh, wait a minute. So the only way she's going to be able to get him to give her a pass is if she plays upon racism. If she plays upon the racist tropes and the racist stereotypes. If she claims that she's a victim. If she claims that she's a victim, if she claims that she was on drugs, if she claims that she was abused, if she claims that it wasn't her fault and gives him some plausible deniability that this wasn't really a decision for her to make. It's not really a decision she made. And if she triples down on the white supremacy and the racism, she might be able to do that. You said OJ. Remember, Nicole got with some white dudes after she left OJ. Remember that? Why do you think it was so important for her to smear him with domestic violence charges and even the famous phone call they keep playing? By the way, he didn't lay a finger on her that night. By the way, the famous phone call where, yes, I'm in whatever in Brentwood. The suspect is O.J. Simpson. I think you know his record. But by the way, he caught her in the house with another dude in front of his kids. He did not lay a finger on her that night. He didn't touch her. But she understood, he getting ready to cycle me out. I need to set up plausible deniability for the next dude. So I got to smear you up as bad as I can so I can take this story to the next white man. He might be a football fan, but I need to give him a story that allows me to be able to divorce myself from my black adventure. So that's when it becomes, oh, he was abusive. I was on drugs. I messed around and got pregnant. I didn't want it. I took him for his money, so on and so forth. So as long as you come out the game and dirty him up, they're okay with that. That'll be enough to give you a pass. That'll be enough to give you a pass. You came out the game and dirtied him up. All right. You'll find somebody who'll let that slide. What was the first thing she did after she broke up with OJ? She went looking for a white dude to lay up with. As a matter of fact, she had already been sleeping with white dudes before she got divorced. Ain't no more other black men on. There were no other black men on Nicole Brown's vagina resume. There weren't any other black men on it. It was OJ, and then it was, damn it, I got him. I got the kids. I need to get me a white sponsor. I'm not getting any older. I'm not getting any younger. I need to get me a white sponsor so I can cash out. Because I'm almost out of time. I need a sponsor to get me cashed out. I need to cash out. Because let's just be very, very clear. We talk about the one nigga at a time rule. You got to understand, if you're a white woman with a whole bunch of bodies on you and you're older, people, do you understand what a no-win situation that is? You're a white woman with a bunch of bodies on you and you're older. When you're talking about guys who put up whole YouTube channels dedicated to nothing but getting with females who are 21 and younger, who created the genre of porn called barely legal. They created a genre of pornography called barely legal. And you think that in your 40s, you're going to be able to go back to them, to those guys, and trade on sexuality. That's not what's going to happen. So you're going to need a big smoke screen. You're going to need a big smoke screen. See, you got to understand, deception resonates. Oh, people, I'm mixing the business with a little bit of that black empowerment thing. You got to understand, folks, white supremacy depends upon deception. Or should I say, white supremacy respects deception in the service of white supremacy. Did I say that? Yeah, I said that. White supremacy respects deception as the art of war in service of white supremacy. So you see, they understand when she says she's a Republican and a Fox News viewer, well, she is claiming allegiance to us. But when she says, well, yes, I'm not a racist. You see, I can't possibly be racist. Take a look at all these black men that I laid up with in my 20s. So you see, I can't be racist. I used to sleep with black men. I did it on camera. Did you catch that? Did you all see how we're giving you 720 degrees? Did you catch that? These white supremacist males understand that. They understand that those two statements are in contradiction and conflict with each other. Fox News viewer, Republican, but not a racist? Those statements are in conflict. And they understand that just as readily and easily as you and I understand that. They understand that one of these statements is a deception. Either you like sleeping up with black dudes and Fox News is racist, or you're really a Fox News Republican, and what you're telling them about you're not a racist, that's the lie. One of these statements is a lie. You either don't really like Fox News or you don't really like black men. It's one or the other, but it ain't both. So just like you and I can see the inconsistency here and the lack of integrity, they see this too. This post wasn't put up for me. She blocked me afterward. This wasn't for black male consumption. This is for white male consumption. people, you have entered an age in which these people are practicing white supremacy at the exact same moment that they are telling you that they do not practice it. And that, in fact, I mean, this chick is way beyond I got black friends. She's like, boy, I got black oral sex on video. And as soon as she hopped up off of that mat and showered the various bodily fluids off of herself, she's letting you know, it's about white supremacy. I just lay up with you niggas because it makes money. But as far as how I live, it's about white supremacy. I don't forget where I am anchored to. It's about white supremacy. And a lot of y'all out there are telling yourselves, I mean, if this doesn't prove it, if this is not the quintessential proof that just because a white woman is in bed with you, that somehow is proof positive that she can't be no white supremacist. Now, there's a bunch of single-minded dumbasses out there still saying that mess. Telling themselves, well, a white supremacist would certainly never have sex with me. So if I can get her into bed, that's proof she ain't a white supremacist. I win. I win. I've always said this. Neely Fuller has always said this. Others have always said this. They will sit up here and be in the bed with you and have triple X rated swinging from the ceiling down and dirty, wild and woolly, bug out your eyes, crazy jungle love sex with you. And as soon as she hops out that bed, it's back to white supremacy. You see, most women might not be able to compartmentalize, but white supremacy demands compartmentalization. So they will give her a pass in her interracial dalliances if it's in service to white supremacy. They'll give you a pass for that. You can get a pass for doing that. Now, you're going to have to work on it. It's going to take time. And even in Jenna Jameson's case. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not going to open up the phone lines because I'm having issues with this thing doing it. But by the way, I believe Jenna Jameson did do an interracial scene at the very beginning of her career. I do believe it's been long said that she did one at the beginning. It's an old one. She did it and then never did it again. So when left to their own judgment, they'll do that. When left to their own judgment. So much for being a victim, because if she started off her career, she did an interracial scene way early when she was trying to break into the business and didn't have a name for herself. But just as soon as she could start getting coached on the business, then all of a sudden, this person who today claims that she was a victim and today claims that she was trafficked into the business. Well, she understood back then how to work the business. She wasn't being taken advantage of back then, while she was very calculating back then. She was very calculating. So yeah, she's been letting you know the whole damn time, oh, this is what it's about. Different people handle it in different ways. Different people handle it in different ways. You are dealing with the art of deception on display here. But it's not for your eyes. Please understand. This is for the purposes of rehabilitating their images in the eyes of their hopeful white male sponsors. Because they're too old to traffic in sexuality anymore. Now, all they can really be is the sexy ideologue. You see, a young white woman, nobody really cares about what she knows. Can we just be brutally honest? her status comes simply from existing. But when you get older, yeah, you don't have that type of leverage anymore. So you can't be a sexy young woman, but what you can be is a sexy ideologue. I mean, compared to Hillary Clinton and Madeleine Albright and Sarah Palin, compared to them, oh, you're knocking it out of the park compared to them. You're knocking it out of the park compared to them. So you can be a sexy older ideologue. The standards are different when you start reaching that Karen age range. The standards over there are going to be different. They're going to be more lenient. They're first and foremost more concerned about your political ideology as opposed to your sexual preferences. Because they're fully aware that you can be a white woman dating a black man, married to a black man. You can have black children and still be a white supremacist and practice white supremacy and thus be eligible for white supremacist benefits. They are completely aware of that, and they also understand you got to play the game. You see, they understand, especially at this day and age right now, when the population numbers are dropping like they are, deception is about to come back in style because it must. Open and overt deception is about to come back in style because it must come back into style. It's one of the few things they've got left. Giving yourself the right to practice deception like this, they're going to have to be more lenient with them rules because they understand coming out and saying, no, I prefer not to sleep with black men. Well, they understand, oh, that's too blatant. So you see, in some cases, it could actually be a plus if you've got the ability to have that type of camouflage. If you've got the ability to do that. You see, Jules Jade is no different from Terry Crews. Oh, I said it. She's no different from Terry Crews. If you ask Terry Crews about how he feels about black people, that's one thing, but then take a look what the nigga does. So they understand the necessity of practicing deception. That is a plus. She's sitting here promoting white supremacist talking points and then telling you, but I'm not a racist because I've slept with black men. And as far as the white supremacist males are concerned, checkmate. As far as they're concerned, they think that's a checkmate. Now, you can read my comment above hers and you see that it debunks that. It totally debunks that. No, you are a racist. You're just one of the racists who is able to sleep with black folk, but you're not confused. The black men that you were sleeping with, they were confused. You're not confused. You're a white supremacist. You're not confused. You playing a game. You're not confused at all. You're not confused at all. This is what you're up against. In this day and age, where the Beckies are embracing their Karenness. And let me tell you one more thing. The Karen thing is only going to expand its range. Right now, you have Beckies, but I'm telling you right now, Becky is really about to become really a high school to college thing. And Becky is really going to be only relegated to those who are naive. Becky is going to become a euphemism for naive as opposed to young. Karens are about to start being born around the age of 22, 23. Right now, we relegate the Karens to in their 30s, but I'm telling you, mark my words, the Becky used to be a wide range of age. That range of age is about to narrow to strictly, basically, high school, late high school, graduate college age, and everything after the age of 22, 23 to 40 or 23 to 50 is going to be Karen. There's going to be a whole quarter of a century range in there. And the Mildred, which is the next evolution after Karen. You got Becky, Karen, Mildred, which is really just the evolution of Karen. But you're gonna watch right now. People are describing Becky as going into your 30s, but that's gonna narrow. You're gonna start seeing it get narrower and narrower, and these Karen traits are gonna start expanding and start bleeding over into the 20s and the early 20s. And that's when you're really gonna see things crack off. Because you're not seeing a bunch of young white girls today really embracing their Karen-ness. But as things go on, there's going to be more. You're going to see more of them. You're going to see more of them. That's what you're going to start witnessing. You all just saw my encounter with them this week. But the lessons of all of this is, first of all, don't let a female tell you that she regrets what she did sexually in her 20s. You never hear men say that they regret what they did in their 20s. And by the way, you never hear 20-year-olds or 25-year-olds say that as long as they feel like they got the advantage, they never regret anything. So long as they've got the advantage, as long as they feel like they've got all the leverage on their side, they don't regret anything they do. Listen to Doja Cat talk about your white supremacist females. Remember Doja Cat. For those of you who are subscribed to my Patreon, you can go over there and go see that. Remember Doja Cat. Remember her? Why, she was sitting up boldly on her Instagram. If I want to date a white guy, if I want to go out with a white guy, if I want to just F a white guy, then that's my damn business and I'll do that. Does she sound like she's expressing any regrets? Does she sound like she doesn't understand the gravity of what she's doing? No. She's like, I'm powerful enough where there are no consequences. Although she started experiencing consequences. Now she wants to run from it. But as soon as she hits 30, she's going to start becoming very contrite, very apologetic. She's going to become very repentant. But as long as it seems like there's no consequences, they don't give a damn what you think. They don't give a damn what you think as long as the leverage is on their side. As soon as they feel like it's starting to wear off, I better find something else to hitch my wagon to. But folks, you don't ever hear these females telling you that what they did, that they're ashamed of what they did sexually. And what they're going to try to tell you is, oh, well, they grew out of it. No, that's bull crap, because they'll hold on to it into their 30s if there's no consequences. If there's no consequences, they'll hold on to it into their 30s. Vivica Fox. How old is Nicki Minaj now? They don't let that go. As long as they got the leverage, they don't let it go. All they want to know is if you have the ability to punish them for what they've done. If you don't, man, they're not ashamed of anything. So the reason why I commented on what Jenna said about that is not simply because I was like, okay, this is that Becky to Karen transition where she tries to disown all of the things that she did back during her Becky years. She's trying to divorce herself and disown it now. But also because of the fact I'm like, you know what the hell you're doing. If you're going into the porn business, you know what you're doing. You're not ashamed of it. You're just ashamed now that the white men have let you know that, oh, you're not going to get a pass for that. You're not getting a pass. We are going to stay on your neck about this, but you're not getting a pass. Don't let any of them tell you that they're ashamed of what they did in their 20s. A chick is sitting in front of you at 38, 39, 40 years old trying to tell you that now she's ashamed of what she did in her 20s. But when she was in her 20s, she was standing on it 10 toes. Fellas, don't fall for that. I don't have to tell the ladies because the ladies already know that about the men. We don't ever say that we're ashamed of what we've done. We don't ever say that. And women never say that either, as long as they can have their pick and their choice of the men that they want. As soon as their pick and the choice of the men that they want start denying them and avoiding them, then all of a sudden, oh, I'm sorry about what I did when I was in my 20s. I was young, I was stupid, I was on drugs, I was with the wrong crowd, I met a bad man. It becomes that. Then all of a sudden she wants to be a born again hoe. Oh, I'm trying to get my life right. I'm a born again thought. Keep your eyes and ears open. Well, Jason, can't people change? Well, yeah, people can change, but I look for patterns. I look for patterns. And this is not a pattern of somebody who is contrite and repentant. This is a pattern of somebody who is following a path to social rehabilitation on white supremacist terms. That's what you're witnessing here. That's what you're witnessing here. Yeah, definitely Rihanna. Rihanna said, let me get to work and reinvent myself as a makeup mogul. You ever saw a makeup mogul who couldn't teach you a damn thing about makeup, by the way? Have you all ever met a so-called makeup mogul who couldn't teach you a damn thing about makeup? Could you all imagine Rihanna doing a makeup video, putting on her own makeup? She'd come out there looking like Phyllis Diller or Bozo the Clown, one or the other. No, they're not afraid or ashamed of what they've done. It's only when you show up that all of a sudden they become afraid and ashamed. Don't fall for white supremacy. Don't fall for phony contrition and repentance. Just tell her, look here, you're a hoe, you've been a hoe. It ain't to your advantage anymore. You looking for a sponsor. Let's just level with each other. Brothers and sisters, don't let somebody sit up here and talk peace to you and they're not being honest. I've been talking about this for weeks now. Don't let anyone attempt to negotiate peace with you from a dishonest position. If a female got a rep, if a female's got a track record, she needs to be on that and just be like, look, when I was in my 20s, that's right, I was out here doing the most. Now I'm trying to get things, that doesn't run this course and I ain't really trying to live like that. So what you gonna do? Don't try to say you were dumb. Don't try to say you were stupid. Don't try to say you were ignorant. Don't try to say you didn't know. Don't try to say you was on drugs. If you was on drugs, you like the drugs and you like sleeping with a bunch of dudes. That's what you like doing. You might have gotten too old for it, or maybe you took a drug trip that scared you, or maybe you got high one time with the wrong fella and he tried to do something to you, so you decided that you need to remain sober a little bit longer, and that maybe you had an experience with the drugs or with too many dudes that made you think, okay, I need to do things differently. Okay, let it be that. Let it be that. See, that's honest. That's honesty. Honesty is when you sit up and level with a nigga. Just okay, well, I was out here doing everything, but this is what I'm doing now. But yeah, that show was me. Okay, don't try to run game on men like that. Don't try to do that. See, that works with weak, gullible guys. That doesn't work with a builder. That doesn't work with a producer. He hasn't kept his head attached to his shoulders this long by being easily floored by you. He's not going to just sit up here and just say, okay, whatever you say, okay. Not going to do that. So fellas, ladies, I want you to listen very carefully. Don't deal with somebody who doesn't deal with you honestly. They got to tell you what the deal is. This is what I'm about. This is what I do. This is how I live. Are you with it? Because if they're lying to you, they're trying to extract something from you against your will. They're trying to grab something from you against your will. Don't let them do that. That's game. Don't let them do that. Don't let them get away with that. Monique Presley spilled the damn beans on Kamala Harris on my damn Twitter about that. When I say, well, Kamala been out here, aren't you concerned about the fact that she slept her way to the top? Monique Presley said, nope. That don't matter. Okay. I had a little bit more respect for Monique when she said that. Monique was just, nope, that don't matter. If a woman sleeps her way to the top, that don't matter. I'm like, okay, I can respect that. I don't like it. I'm not going to vote for it, but I can respect that. If you deal with a female who's like, look, if I can get a job based on skills or sex, if I ain't got the skills, I'll settle for the sex. Okay, I can deal with I can respect a female who says that. Don't mean I'm gonna go out with her. Don't mean I'm gonna keep her, but I can respect a female who would say that. All right, she's being honest about it. Okay, she's letting you know what you're dealing with. At least you can continue talking to her because you know what you're getting and she's not lying to you. But I can't forgive someone who's not being honest with me about what it is I need to forgive them for. I can't forgive you for something you didn't do. I can only forgive you for something that you did do. And if you're claiming ignorance when I know that you are not ignorant, I can't forgive you. I can't forgive you or excuse it because I know you're lying to me. So what you need to do is level with me. You need to level with me so that we can be straight about this. That's what you need to be. These chicks now, when you done porn, you can't really lie about anything. You can't lie about what you've done. You can only lie now about what it meant. If you slept with 500 dudes, you can't lie about what you did. You can only lie about what it meant. That's all you can do. But you can't lie about what you did. So beware, you're dealing with folks that's what they're about. And in this day and age, you need to take this very seriously. These are two chicks who do porn. I'm going to end this by letting you all know these are two chicks who do porn. They're internationally known. They've got a reputation. They've been promoted by corporations, major corporations, or at least people with enough money to be able to promote these things. But do you understand how many of you are dealing with, talking to, chasing, sponsoring, sleeping with, maybe even married to a Jenna Jameson or a Jules Jade right now? Do you understand that? Do you understand how many of you are fooling with chicks like that right now and dismissing all these warning signs and overlooking and disregarding all these warning signs? Do you understand that? You're doing that right now. Right now. There's a bunch of you who are telling yourselves all kinds of lies about where you stand, and you're taking your lives in your hands. You're not just making a fool of yourself, you're taking your life in your hands. You see, a woman can play dumb because she knows at the end of playing dumb, she can beg for mercy. As men, and particularly as black men, you don't have the option of begging for mercy if things go wrong. If you play dumb, it just ends badly for you. When you play dumb. If you are new here to the business, I want to welcome you to the channel here. If you haven't clicked that red subscribe button, you want to go ahead and do that if you haven't done so already. And also click that yellow notification bell so that you can be notified when we go live. I do it irregularly, though I do try to show up 1 or 2 times a week here so we can get this together here. I know we've been here for a few hours, but I definitely felt that it was necessary to go ahead and dissect this topic on all these levels. I want to thank you all for having joined us here tonight. It's been great to be able to speak with you all here, and I'll be back with you here again as soon as I can. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.